In 1 week, 500 laying hens are going to be arriving on our homestead, and this is going to be their house. Thanks to technology today, my mic ran out of battery and it's connected to this charger, so that's why this is going on here. But today in this video, I want to walk through and show you the house, show you what still needs to be done, and just talk about the whole process that we're thinking about with this enormous project. Welcome to the Skillful Woman YouTube channel. Here you'll see me going about everyday homesteading chores and working on practical projects that help our family live well in Southern Africa. In March 2025, I unexpectedly went viral on Instagram and gained a big new audience in just a few days. It's been a wild and exciting ride, and now I'm bringing this slower, longer form content over to YouTube. Thanks so much for being here. If you enjoy this kind of real everyday life, I'd love it if you subscribed and left a comment. What I really want to share with you, because it's so important and it's something I keep on having to remind myself, is that for the first time on our homestead, but also in our family, we're actually taking the enthusiasm around hobbies out of the equation, because this project is going to be a business. When you take something out of the hobby category and put it into the business category, things change completely. The most crucial thing becomes your systems. And this is the process that we're in at the moment. Before the chickens even arrive, we have to look at the processes that we have put in place. And when the chickens arrive, we're going to find all the things that we haven't even thought of already. You may ask, why have we taken our hobby and turned it into a business? Well, the bottom line is that we do need to generate some kind of income. But a more extended version is that for years and years, we have kept layer hens successfully, really successfully. We always have fresh, free-range eggs in our pantry to cook with or bake with. And we've learned a lot over the years. But what we've come to realize in our community, there's a shortage of free-range eggs. And they're really sought after, and that is something that we can actually provide to our community. We've been approached by smaller businesses and grocery stores in our area. There are also schools looking for free-range eggs. There are many eggs in our area, but they are not free-range. And you really can see that difference when you eat them. So we did the math, we did a lot of investigation and research, and this is what we pretty much settled on. We think it's a really good decision to go into free-range eggs. So to you, and probably to me, this house looks like it's complete. But new and empty houses always hide the problems. Because this is a business project, we've really had to spend some time on thinking what we can mitigate before the chickens even arrive. And one of the things I think we've nailed is ventilation. We've built these awesomely big windows for the chickens, yes, for light, because they love to eat when it's light, but also for ventilation. There's one on this wall and there's another one on the opposite wall. So this draws the air and the breeze and the fresh oxygen through the house all day, every day, and through the night. These are not covered. And we've proved that this is going to be perfectly fine because it has rained non-stop for about 10 days. And there's no dampness in here. So the likelihood of us needing to cover these windows is pretty slim. I'm so glad that we made this change to the house because originally we just had 2 of these. As you can see, they're really heavy. Oh, and it would take a really big log to keep them open, and it just wasn't enough. They were on the drawings originally. But as with all new builds, if you've ever built your own home or moved into a new build, there's always something to change. And this is something I'm so glad we changed. You may ask, in the winter, will our chickens be cold? And my answer to you is chickens love cooler weather. So we probably won't need to cover them in winter. They will all be in here at night and huddled together, generating heat themselves. They also have the hay to keep them warm, the nesting boxes. And like I said, they just really like cooler weather anyway. As I mentioned, there are 500 chickens arriving next week. When you take your hobby of 10 to 12 chickens and escalate it to 500, Like I said, the systems have to change. Suddenly, you don't just need one water font, you need a lot more, and you need the correct number. So I have consulted an expert in this field, and they said that for 500 chickens, 10 big water fonts and 10 feeders would be enough. These are the water fonts that we're going to use for now. And I say for now because there is a more efficient system out there. We just couldn't source the right one in our town, and we need it right now. So we did buy 10 of these to give our chickens water. I can't quite remember how many liters this is. Oh, it says here. This is 11 liters of water times 10, so 110 liters of water. That's a lot of water, but chickens love to drink. They need to drink to be able to flush down their food down their throats. The feeders look like this, and these will be hung from the rafters at the right height for the chickens, but they also have feet. So we'll just test that out when the chickens arrive and see what's best for their height and just ease of eating. And another really important thing about any large number of livestock on one place is biosecurity. So as you'll see over here, I have a footbath, and we're going to have 2 of these footbaths. One at the gate as we enter the enclosure, and one at this very door, so that we dip our boots in it and we will have a chemical there. It's the only chemical I'm allowing near my chickens, but there will be a chemical to disinfect our boots. As I mentioned earlier, these chickens are going to be free range, and so I'd love to just take you around this house to see where they're going to roam each day. My mic is finally charged enough for me not to have to lug around the big brick of a charger. So we are in the huge expanse that our chickens are going to have to scratch through, walk through, jump through even on these branches. And this really excites me. This part of the project excites me because there's nothing I want more than my livestock to be happy and not cooped up in a cage for their whole lives. There are so many benefits for your chickens to be able to walk and live in open spaces like this. The number one benefit is that they're just out in fresh air. They're not inhaling their own fumes and whatever build up in these cages that a lot of chickens live their lives in. But the next really important thing is that they get to eat and scratch for bugs and little seeds and other nutritious bits that are on the ground. We can't see all the bugs on the ground, but the chickens can, and they will eat them and peck them and investigate them. They also get to be curious. They get to check out something that looks interesting, and they get to play with it or eat it or taste it or whatever they end up doing. What I love about this section of their open space is that there are inbuilt perches. We will have to build some for inside their cage for times that they are cooped up in there if there's torrential rain or something like that. But when they're outside, they have a whole lot of fallen trees to perch on. Chickens love perching. It's something that they do naturally and they look for. And in most chicken farming, in these cooped up cages, they never get to perch. They never get to do that action with their feet. But out here, they get to do that. There is so much wild grass and wild plants all around here. Chickens do get a little bit tentative around very tall plants and grass, so we probably slash a bit of this just to ease them in so they get to explore and get used to this. Something else that I'm a huge fan of in our setup is that they have so much tree cover. We basically live in a Masasa tree woodland on this homestead, which is an exceptionally special thing to have for ourselves. But our chickens get to share this. They have protection from the sun, but they also have protection from overhead predators like birds of prey, and I can't think of anything else right now. but they have protection from things that would otherwise make them uncomfortable. Another thing I'm really excited about with this project, but it's something for much later, and I'm going to try explain all of this before the heavens open because there's more rain coming. But I would really like to plant a whole lot of fruit trees in one section. And so I'll have to cordon off their trunks with some chick mesh so the chickens don't attack the stems while they're trying to grow strong. But once they're nice, old and established, they're going to drop fruit, and those chickens are going to be allowed to eat that fruit. The bugs will also be drawn by the fruit on the ground, so they'll probably get a double whammy of some protein and some fruit, and it'll just make the whole environment a whole lot more healthy. I'm pretty sure you can hear the sound of the rain falling on this tin roof. And it's basically inbuilt white noise for the chickens. I would sleep really well with this sound all night. I don't know about you. While we wait out the rain in the chicken house, I thought I'd round things up by telling you what we still need to do before the chickens arrive in a week's time. We definitely have to come in here with a lot of brooms and clean this place. There is so much sawdust and just general building dust that is everywhere in the nesting boxes and on the floor. So we're going to have to sweep that a lot, and then we're probably going to have to come in here with a mop just to get the last bits of dust up off the floor. We also have to put our bedding in. We're going to be using hay on the floor and in the nesting boxes, and we just want to give them some fresh hay when they arrive. So we're not going to put that down yet. We're going to hear from the transporter to tell us when he will be landing these chickens on our homestead, and then we'll put the hay down. You may also wonder why I haven't spoken about specific numbers, i.e. the finances of this project. And the main reason is because costs vary from town to town, from country to country, from continent to continent. But the principles are what remain. The same kind of things that I would need to think of to start a chicken project like this are the same things you would need to think of. But the finances are very different. One financial aspect that I will just mention quickly is that your chickens need to have food. All living things need their food. And in a big project like this, little changes really do add up and make a big impact in many cases. And one of these for us is the price of chicken food. So if you're thinking of going into a project like this, I really do advise that you do your maths and you look at the price of food. And in our context, we're just really hoping that food prices don't change a lot in the next year or so, because that holds the potential to change the whole trajectory of our project. So I just wanted to bring that in, that if you're looking at projects like this, always look at the cost of food and the cost of eggs in shops and weigh all of that up to see what kind of impact it would make if food went up just $1 per bag, maybe $2 per bag. Where would that end you would it end you? Would it end the project if your food prices changed a lot? The rain has stopped and the sun is out, and this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to follow along on this massive project that we're undertaking.